Hello and welcome back to another video here on Aviator Records. I know it's been a while and I'm sorry for that, but I've had a lot of things to do in my life and so I haven't had time to make a video. But that doesn't mean that I haven't bought any new records, of course. So without further ado, let's start by showing the first record. So a couple of months ago, I started listening to this band, or I discovered this band called Sonic Youth. And if you haven't heard of them, they were a New York-based band, sort of indie rock, but also like noise rock. They were quite experimental with their music, and so really started listening to them and enjoying their stuff. Um, and then all of a sudden I found an original pressing of their 1992 album Dirty. So this is on Geffen Records, released in 1992. And it's a double album, so it's quite a long album. But despite that, I think it really holds up. I mean, it's at the time, Sonic Youth were quite inspired by bands like Nirvana, and so this is quite grungy, which I haven't listened to a whole lot of grunge, but this isn't really grunge either, but it's inspired by it. So yeah, and for the cover they used like pictures of like dolls, which I think is quite cool. They were always very artsy with their album covers, which I like. And yeah, so this is a great album, one of Sonic Youth's. I haven't heard all of their albums yet, but from the ones I've heard, I think Dirty really holds up pretty well. And so some of my favorite tracks is 100%. Obviously, that's a really great track. And then Swimsuit Issue. Drunken Butterfly, I think, is amazing. And then I think there's only one song by the guitarist Lee Ronaldo on this one, and that is Wish Fulfillment, which is also an excellent song. But really, all the songs on this album are amazing, and I could go on and on, telling you about them. But those are some of the standouts, and we've also got like Per, JC, Sugar Cane, On the Strip, Chapel Hill. I mean, there's tons of good songs on this album. So if you haven't heard it, what are you even doing? Just go ahead, listen to it. Sonic Youth, Dirty. And then we got another album from the 90s, which is the debut album by the Breeders. So this is Pod from 1990, released on 4AD Records. And now, if you're not familiar with the Breeders, the Breeders were actually formed by Kim Deal of the Pixies and a friend of hers. And I think they got the drummer from Slint and, a couple of other members. But so this is their debut album, which is not that well known, I don't think, but it's a great indie rock album. And while it does sound a bit like the Pixies, it still has its own unique style, I think. And because Kim Deal does all the vocals, obviously, and so the album gets a different feel to it. And you can also see some differences in the songwriting, I think. So yeah, most of the songs are quite short and sweet. Some standout tracks for me is the album opener, Glorious, and then you got Doe, which is also amazing. And they also did a fantastic Beatles cover of Happiness is a Warm Gum, which I think those three tracks, they're the first tracks on the album. They are just so good. But you know, it doesn't stop there. You got like Hellbound, well, When I Was a Painter, Fortunately Gone, Only in Freeze. I mean, it's a very good album, and I think it was one of Kurt Cobain's favorite albums, actually. So it's definitely had a big influence um, in the 90s music scene. And then obviously the Breeders had their breakthrough album 2 years later with, no, 3 years later with Last Splash, and their huge hit Cannonball. But this is the album that preceded it, and I actually prefer this album. Um, so yeah, next up we have yet another 90s album, which might be even more unknown. This is Liz Phair's Whitechocolatespaceegg from 1998. Released on Matador Records, I think. And this is Liz Phair's third album. Obviously, her debut album, Exile in Guyville, became very successful, very influential in the 90s indie rock music scene. But this is her third album, which I managed to find an original pressing of, and I'm very happy to have this. It's got this beautiful glossy cover, as you can see, and it's in beautiful condition as well. But yeah, and people may think like, oh, Liz Phair was a one-hit wonder or something like that, because of the success of her first album. But that doesn't mean that her other albums are bad. I think this is just as good as Exile in Guyville. It just has a different feel to it and different theme, because obviously Liz Phair is a bit older. She's got a family, you know, she's gotten married, she's got a kid, and so the themes of the songs have changed a bit. But I think the production on this album is really good. Quite quirky, but I like it. Quirky in a good way, I should say. Yeah, and so some standout tracks on this is obviously the title track, Whitechocolatespaceegg, but also Polyester Bride, I think is one of Liz Phair's best songs that she wrote. And there's also Johnny Feelgood, which is amazing. And then Only Son is a beautiful song, I think. And Headache is also really good. I mean, there's a lot of good songs on this album. So if you've only heard Exile in Guyville, you really should go and listen to this as well. And then next up we have quite a different album. This is No Comment by Front 242, which came out originally in 1984. I think this is a 1985 pressing. And so this is Front 242's second album. And if you haven't heard about Front 242, they were this pioneering EBM group from Belgium. And EBM stands for Electronic Body Music, which is essentially what preceded the techno scene, really, or it's like a mix of synth pop, but it's harsher and it's more aggressive, I guess you could say. So this is their second album, when they really started to get their own unique sound. It's only got 6 tracks, but I think it's a really solid album. Some standout tracks are Deceit, I think is really good. Lovely Day is really good, and No Shuffle. So there you have it. Front 242, No Comment. And then last but not least, we have some British music. So this is, let's see if we can get some focus. No, maybe not. This, yeah, there you go. So this is XTC Go Plus, which is which were it was originally released as like a bonus disc, because XTC, their second album was called Go Plus, and so this is Go. No, their second album was called Go 2, and so this is Go Plus, which was like a bonus that you got. And this has some really cool experimental dub versions of some of the songs from Go 2. So this came out in 1978, so it's quite old. I mean, most of my records are from the 80s or early 90s, but this is from 78. And so yeah, it's really cool, and you can play it either at 33 or 45 RPM, because it's very, it's dub music, so you can play it at any speed you want, really, and it will still be very cool. And then, in addition to that, I got a little single. This is a Christmas single by XTC under a different name. They call themselves the Three Wise Men, but it's XTC. And this is their Christmas single from 1983 called Thanks for Christmas. And then on the flip side, you have Countdown to Christmas Party Time. And Thanks for Christmas, I think, is one of the most beautiful and catchiest Christmas songs I've heard in a long time. And Countdown to Christmas Party Time is also a cool song, but it's not like a classic. It's more of a goofy song, I guess you could say. But this is quite a rare single, because obviously it was not released under the name XTC, so I guess some people didn't know what it was. But and I know it's a long time to Christmas, but I guess Countdown to Christmas Party Time. I mean, eventually it will be Christmas, and then this will be in constant rotation. So that was what I had for this week's video. I'll hopefully be back in a couple of weeks, because I'm going on a record fair in like 2 weeks, and see if I can pick up some more Smiths or some more Sonic Youth or something like that. But until then, have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye.